Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. This is not the usual setup that you see. This is different for a couple of reasons. One, this is about a 2-week growth of beard. Normally I would give myself a trim before this, no dress shirt. I usually don't wear a logo on my t-shirt unless it's mine. But today, a little bit different. The futon I sit on, normally with a nice blue background, that's right over there, completely off camera. This is my recliner. I sit in this recliner because cars. I'm not editing those out today because today it's a very honest idea of exactly what I do in this office and what I kind of have to deal with from time to time. The cars, the noises, the trucks. For some reason, there's like 8 major truck routes outside my little side street in Torrance, and I'm sure you'll hear another truck or two over the course of... No, that's just a car. Over the course of this particular video. I am sitting in my work recliner. I have never had an office chair that lasted more than about 6 or 8 months. Well, one, but it wasn't very comfortable. This is a sort of a compromise. I've mentioned before that I've got 5 whole herniated discs in my back, and this chair is one of the few that I can actually sit in that doesn't hurt my back after prolonged seating. It helps to have a couple of pillows behind me. Thanks to my current workout schedule and the fact that I'm pushing myself a little harder than normal, I couldn't do half an hour, 45 minutes of recording sitting in the futon this time. So here I am showing you what it's all about. I talked about the process that I go through mentally, design-wise, when I'm writing a role-playing game. This is where the magic happens. This is my workstation and the equipment that I focus on for 8, 10, 12, sometimes 16 hours a day to get everything out and accomplished. When I talk about equipment, I have to include this. I have a Keurig coffee maker here in the office, just off camera, and my personal assistant has gotten to be quite masterful at using it. This is Death Wish coffee, made with, I order the ground or the beans from Death Wish, grind them down in my coffee grinder, and then use the reusable pods that you can get for the Keurig Mark I to produce this. If I start to talk faster, it's because this is my first one of the day and I'm kind of working my way through it. You'll notice that I have a starship's worth of screens behind me, 4 to be precise, and I'm going to go through those one at a time. This one, directly behind me, is my Cintiq 21X by Wacom. It's not just a screen, it is also a full Wacom tablet that I use to do a lot of my art. It's where I do my line art, it's where I do the Photoshop that clears up the digital art that I do, lettering, covers, whatnot, over here. It's nice and flexible. I can pull it down into my lap and use it like a standard drawing table. And this is the second, I'm sure, of many styluses that I'm going to go through with it because I'm hard on stuff. This monitor over here is hooked up to the same computer that the Wacom is, which is this monster right here. It's an Asus something very impressive. I don't even remember the system specs anymore, except that when I needed a computer replaced and I decided I was going to go ahead and go for it and just get the best one I could, this is the one that had the fewest frills and the most processor and RAM. I even need to rely on external hard drives because its internal hard drive isn't very big. But oh my gosh, is it fast. So it does the rendering for the digital art that I do very quickly. And so when I'm doing things like writing here in InDesign or using other applications from the Adobe Creative Cloud, it uses them very quickly, which is good because I work faster than I probably should sometimes. Next up is my Microsoft 4000 ergonomic keyboard. I go through keyboards as fast as I go through anything else. I think I have gone through 3 this year so far, and it is only July. I used to have 2 keyboards sitting here, which took up a great deal of space and time, and having to juggle them around. Also, a Kensington Pro trackball here, because I will injure my shoulder if I use a mouse and move my whole arm around. With the Kensington trackball or any really good professional trackball, I can just move my wrist, my hand. Very minimal arm movement. Saves me on a lot on shoulder wear and tear. It's also really precise. About the only thing I've got that's more precise than that is this. And recently, gosh, last week, I hooked this computer, or this keyboard and mouse up to both of my computers using a KVM switch, because my assistant realized what one of those was. You know, back in the 80s, we called them AB switches, and you were real fancy if you could put one of those on a TV or VCR. Now it's a keyboard video mouse, and I don't use the video portion of the switch, but the extra button that I literally glued onto my keyboard lets me switch between using the computer that drives these screens and the computer that drives this screen. Really loud car. This particular screen is the only screen for my second computer. It's an older computer. I've had it for years, but it does all of my communications for me. It's what I do on my email and Facebook and Skype and web browsing. It's also my music server, so I can start music or videos or whatnot up on this computer without drawing any of the processing power from this one. You're going to hear little squeaks and stuff off to the side, as well as cars, as my personal assistant checking the camera to make sure that I am still recording, because I am recording off of my smartphone still, and it does not have a forward-facing screen like a decent God-fearing camcorder would. Decent God-fearing camcorders in the budget, just going to be a little while before I scrape that up. Support me on Patreon, it'll happen a lot faster. So the second computer that I can just switch to with the KVM switch, and if I have spoken to any of you online via chat or via Skype, that's been through this computer over here, quite possibly with that $40 Microsoft webcam, which, if it was a little better, or if it was hooked up to this computer, I might actually be doing some of these videos on, but I actually like the results that I get out of the smartphone. Once this recording is done, I will be uploading the file to this computer over here, which takes a while because for some reason it keeps telling me that my phone is busy when I plug it in. And I'd really like to know what my phone is doing without me, because it takes a long time. Still, I load it into this computer and edit everything in Adobe Premiere. I am building up to adding some special effects with After Effects. In fact, hang on a second. If you see me holding a fireball, I am using After Effects. If you don't, I got lazy, and I was just holding my hand up for no reason. I said I would never do a video on Percocet. I took Percocet last night because of pain, the same pain that has me recording from my armchair here instead of from my futon. There might still be some Percocet in my system. Fair warning given. I will also upload to YouTube from this computer. People doing that. You know, it's amazing. I've got a really small window here. This is a remarkably little amount of airflow that I get, but I do need the airflow. Breathing, it's important to me. And I don't know if it's the configuration of buildings in the area that makes every noise that happens in this neighborhood come straight in this window and directly into that microphone. But you know it happens. I have no idea where I was. Hang on.
After Effects.
After Effects. So, uh, and I also upload to YouTube from here. This computer is my workhorse. Right now, I have InDesign loaded. I'm working on the setting book for the Victory System's default fantasy setting, War for the Shattered Earth. It is due out at the end of this month. It is the 14th of July, which gives me 17 days. And it's not like I don't have most of the book already figured out. Half. Because the thing that I spend most of my time on, the thing that really gets the work done, is all here, really. You can talk about the math and the statistics and the flow of design work, but when it comes to the flat out creative work, when it comes to the rubber meeting the road of producing a role playing game or a card game, I plan to do card games sometime soon, or a video or even a novel. I'm a big believer in letting things cook on the back burner. When I talked about hypnosis, I talked about how you can divide the brain between the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. The conscious mind makes all of your judgments and stuff. The subconscious mind's really, really big, really important. It's the greater part of the mind, I think. Have you ever started a project and figured, I've hit a spot where I need to stop, I'll come back to it later? When you come back to it, you've figured out not only a way past that spot, but you've got way more of it figured out. That's putting something on the back burner. I have the Shattered Earth running around in my head all the time these days. A full-on fantasy setting and the rules that govern it and the people that populate it and how I want to present it and how parts of it I want to be procedurally generated by random charts and other parts of it I want to present as concrete existing things that feed into the lore of the world. And getting that from here out here into that, that's a longer process than I'd like to believe. It's why sometimes I run into a deadline and start to panic because I've got 3 days left when I give myself 2 months to do something. Trying not to do that with this. That's why it's up here 17 days in advance. But it's got to cook. It has to boil. Nothing comes out through my hands or out into the creative process until it's had a chance to toss around in my subconscious for a while. Cook. When I know what the next words I'm going to type are, it's time to type. Sometimes that doesn't happen soon enough. I don't have a lot of control over how fast things get written in the back of my head. That's a problem as a writer and a creative individual who makes my living doing creative stuff. But it's a fairly common problem. If you talk to writers, artists, what have you, who are at a blank page and don't know what to put next, or they've got something to a point and need to go a little bit further and haven't gotten it, when you just need to sit down and slog through and write day after day. There's a lot of staring out the window or watching cooking shows or listening to really, really loud music and banging your head a little bit because you've got to shake the subconscious up a little bit. You need to feed things into it, because what you put into it is what you're getting out of it. I'm writing a fantasy book. I've watched some bad fantasy movies because I really love bad cinema, and I could get murdered for calling these bad movies. Let me rescind that. I'm watching classic fantasy movies that were made in a time where cinematography was viewed differently. Hawk the Slayer, Sword and the Sorcerer. Um, oh my lord, I need to watch Excalibur again because, good lord, how do you write a fantasy book and not have Excalibur running around in the back of your head? All of which is to say, the creative process, the equipment's one thing, but all of the equipment in the world doesn't help if you don't have a way to master your creative process. When you first wake up in the morning, you are at about the most creative you're ever going to be during the day. I try 3 to 5 days a week. I come in here and I try to get art out of me at that early point in the morning. Get something done. 3 days a week I'm going to the gym, but when I get back, I boot up Poser, and I Poser Pro 2014 at the moment. I'll upgrade when there's an upgrade. And I try to make some kind of image happen. Now, I will look through the websites that I get third-party content for Poser from. Renderosity, Dash 3D, Philosopher's Stone is a really good one. Runtime DNA. And, because sometimes I like to go over the edge, Renderotica. And see if there's a new product. I have wish lists that total somewhere around, oh God, $10,000 at this point in time. I'm never going to get all the stuff in it, but I have a good idea of the kind of stuff that I'd like to get next. Get myself something new, pack it into my runtime, and go. Make some kind of an image. And it'll end up in a product, a game product, or as a cover on a novel, or as a commission piece for someone at some point in time. The one thing that I can't do in this process is stop. You develop a certain amount of creative momentum. I have more creative momentum at the moment than I really know what to do with. It's not entirely a good thing. I produce about 2 supplements a month, 3 if you count the stuff that I do custom for my Patreon supporters. At the same time, I'm producing 4 of these videos a month. I'm looking at doing more videos with some of the fine products and services from my friend Wayne Ziegelmeyer at Oniverks, and doing some work with my son. Running out of time to do that this summer, so I need to dig in on there. At the same time, I also need to be writing short stories and throwing extra pieces of art out and doing comic work while I'm running a few games and playing in a few games. All of which I'm...
Screen's black behind you.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen. I was just informed my screensaver came up because I am looking this direction. But this is an unvarnished look at what I do. My screensaver's part of that. That one has a screensaver, this one doesn't, because I really care what happens to the Wacom, and this monitor can eat a dick. I don't care. It's a cheap 27-inch flat screen. I'm hard on equipment. I'm notoriously hard on equipment. It's a miracle that this computer has survived as long as it has. I think it's just sticking with me because of stubbornness now, and because it likes all the stuff that I download. Getting back to feeding the subconscious. There's a real problem you can get into when you're a creative individual and when your world is a corner with 4 computer screens in it. Because for too many hours a day, for too many days a week, this is my existence. This is what I do. This is what I buckle down and make happen. It's one reason that normally I'll put on a dress shirt and sit on the futon just because that 4 feet of space is a different perspective for me and I get to do something a little bit different. A little bit painful too, but a little bit different. You have to feed your subconscious and you have to feed it quality material. And that means, especially during the summer, I live in Southern California, you have to feed it the outdoors. As much as I would love to spend 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, just here. If I lost my legs, I could probably be content to be wired to the pedestal of this chair. But while I can move and breathe and go out and do things, you have to give your subconscious a taste of the real world. You have to put things in your brain that are reasons people exist. There's a wonderful spot 15 minutes from my front door at the Redondo Beach Pier. You can do a web search on the Redondo Beach Pier, and you'll see some absolutely amazing pictures. I'll throw a couple up here because I can. I took some beautiful pictures. These are from last night. A random Monday night in Southern California at the Redondo Beach Pier. And that's the kind of sunset you get. Wherever you live, there's something around you that will feed your subconscious. Some amount of beauty or interest or a hint of nature or something so beautifully constructed that you can find interest in it. Walking around towns and cities, I like taking train trips from time to time just for the view. And it becomes very, very easy to get stuck in this. Writing is an absorbing process. Making these videos is a somewhat absorbing process. You get so involved that everything that's out that window becomes secondary, superfluous. You're building a world in your head and living there and seeing to it that other people can. And of all the tools that I use in world building, actually existing in a world for a while is probably the best. Breathe the air, see the blue sky. My days start ridiculously early. On days where I go to the gym, I am up at about 5 in the morning, at the gym at about 5:15, getting the car back here by 7 so that my wife can drive it to work. On days I don't go to the gym, I'm up a little bit later, doing something in here to get my brain kicked into action, and then going and getting my writing partner, Vic. Some days a week, it is so that we can spend the day role playing and keep ourselves in the hobby. Some days it's so that we can bounce ideas off of each other to go into this. At least 3 days a week, I have my personal assistant with me for the day, because while I could make my own coffee, coffee that I make doesn't taste as good as coffee that someone else makes for me. When I do not have Devin, my personal assistant, with me to make me coffee and sandwiches and snacks, and God, I'm spoiled, I will stop at the coffee bean down the street and pick myself up a drink that will make the barista look at me like I'm crazy.
Well, that's because you are.
Well, yes, I am. Literally.
But we like you that way.
Literally, if I go into a place and there's a new barista behind the counter and my coffee order doesn't make them go, really? Then I'm ordering it wrong. Yesterday it was a 32-ounce iced Americano with a total of 10 shots. And if you think 10 shots of espresso sounds like a lot of caffeine, you're absolutely right. It is. And that's what it takes to power this. The other thing that I have to contend with as part of my creative process, and you may have noticed it over the course of this video, is I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Oh my lord, do I have ADHD. My brain is the biggest random number generator I've ever found. Because I can start counting at 1, and before I get to 10, I will be on. Man, I wonder if it actually hurt when R2-D2 got shot by that thing that the jaw was used. Can droids feel pain? Maybe if it's droid brain class 3, they can feel pain. Class 4? Now, assassin droids, they're not going to have a pain receptor because that's not going to help them in their mission. But at class 3, they're trying to get, yeah.
Shiny.
That's also going in up here all the time. These are going to go out on me someday because I type as fast as I can think. Not as fast as I can speak. If I could type as fast as wow, let me back up a second. I type as fast as I could think. If I could speak as fast as I could think and have it be legible to the point where voice recognition software would let me do the typing, I'd probably be using it now because I got a case of carpal tunnel cooking up that is going to be one for the record books. That's why there's an ergonomic keyboard that I use for everything, and I try and keep my mouse work on a trackball. That's why I have a personal assistant who is adept at making sure that she stretches these things out at least once a day, if not more often, because, yeah, they're going to go out on me. Sometimes I type and just try and keep up with what's going on in my head. And sometimes I think better of that and think a little bit first. So, my days start fairly early. I will have a high protein, low carb breakfast, a coffee and or a Monster energy drink. I'm a diabetic. I cannot drink most energy drinks. The brand Monster has come out with a zero brand of Monster that has no
Sugar, no carbs.
Well, no carbs, no sugar. I was waiting for the car to get back.
I figured.
I've been talking like an idiot all along, and I've just been informed that I've missed a few minutes of something. So I have no idea what I've missed. So if that edit seemed a little bit clunky, that's because this is kind of a guerrilla video today. I'm not sure exactly where the last clip cut off. Again, a few contributions to Patreon so I can get a decent camera with a forward-facing screen. That'd be awesome because then I'll actually know what's going on while I'm doing this and not just talking to my phone. So, my working day starts early, carries through as long as I can make myself do this, which on a good day is 10 hours or so. Longer, there's a deadline coming up.
I'm recording with mine too.
And I'm going to take just a moment. I'm going to take just a moment to talk about my Patreon account because being a creative individual does not buy a lot of Deathwish coffee, but it takes a lot of Deathwish coffee to be a creative individual. I have a Patreon account, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum. If you would please visit my Patreon page, have a look, and consider donating anything. Anything is a help at this point in time. $1 here and there is wonderful. $5 is amazing. I offer the ability to get products that I only offer through my Patreon, and to name things that will be appearing in this book and in others. I love doing what I do, and I appreciate the time and attention that you folks are giving me watching these videos, and I would like to be able to continue to make them. There. That's my Patreon bit.
That's your pitch for the day.
That's my pitch for the day. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to watch me ramble about what it is that I do and how I do it. I want to thank my assistant for helping me set this up and for being my extra peanut gallery today, because I've needed a little bit of help focusing. I want to thank the two kind, loving children on their Razor scooters racing up and down their driveway directly into my window constantly for the past 45 minutes. And thank you in general. For now, I am Scott DeCorum. This is What Has Mattered to Me. And I'll see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum. I am not the kind of person for whom asking for help comes easily. Despite the fact that there are children obviously running around in grocery carts right outside my window. Geez, I'm like 2 seconds away from me. Kids, get off the damn lawn! It is full on playing a grocery cart outside Scott's window time in my neighborhood.
I think it's the acoustics of the parking structure across the street.
The parking structure and the other apartments. Yep. Any contributions that I get through Patreon help me continue to do this. Help me continue to make the videos. Help me to continue to do my writing. It's not easy to talk when you've got like maybe an entire herd of children outside your window running around in grocery carts, back and forth and dodging trucks. Apparently, it's bad enough that I've got squirrels that run up and down the tree.
At least the squirrels are friendly and quiet.
The squirrels are friendly and quiet, and they're getting really well fed. Holy crap! I'm going to have to edit this bit out, but maybe put it on at the end as an outtake. Like,
goddamn kids!
See if they come by again.
Oh, they will eventually.
Here we go. It's got to be a grocery cart, because no mortal vehicle makes that much noise. Okay. Shit.
I'm going to get all the fun parts today.
I'm going to take a moment to talk about my Patreon account. Geez, no, I'm begging now. Not gonna, 3. Hang on a second. You might want to... Ah!
It's on that one. I got just the first part of it, and then I paused. And here comes your son.
Here comes my son.
Because you're screaming.
I'm yelling at the damn kids in the Raiders scooters outside because I'm recording, and
these
like,
kids.
Wee! Back and forth on a Razor scooter is the best thing ever right outside Dad's window!
Two little boys across the street going up and down the driveway. But it's coming right in the window, and of course, right there. So this one's going, and I was recording on this one.
Breathe if I close the window, so.
And if we turn on the fan, it's too loud because how sensitive the microphones are.
So, I'm stuck here with the damn Razor scooter.
And he was just releasing some steam.
It sounded like you were in pain.
Well, that too.
Okay.